So, this is the Mount Vernon Clinic, sponsored by the 4th Division National Model Pacific Northwest Region National Model Railroad Association. It's a long title, but it's a good title. We're one of a number of clinics around Puget Sound, and we encourage membership in the NMRA, but we certainly don't require it. Nobody's going to strong arm you, so Steve, lay off them. Don't go out and, And I'm talking it up a little bit more tonight because we have a very distinguished guest with us. He's the Assistant Superintendent of the 4th Division, Bob Kenworthy, who, hands up back there, he's en route to the PNR convention in Surrey, which starts tomorrow. So he is here to see if we really are full of crap or we're So, doing due diligence to the NMRA tonight. Bob, did you have any words of wisdom or anything? Put you on the spot?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, if anybody wants to know more about the 4th Division, and talk to Bob at the break, or me, I've been around a while. Any new people tonight? First timers? Yes, sir. Your name would be?
I'm John Black.
Black?
Yes.
Okay. And where are you from, John?
I live near Lacona.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
And do you model in a specific scale already, or?
Well, as a kid, I Lionel trained, and then I ran a model railroad called Train Mountain down in Chile for a number of years.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm now, here's my interest, here's why I came. You talk to me about this if you're interested. I was a software developer for a firm named Oracle, and what I'm interested in is I think that we have all the technology so that if people would put a camera in a car in front of their engine, travel around and take a cat's eye view of their railroad, and people would do that on a number of railroads, then we could build software that would allow you to control the direction of the engine, forward or reverse the video, go into a tunnel and come out on another guy's layout. And that could be strung out, so you go from layout to layout to layout all over the world. I don't see why, I don't see a technical barrier. There was a patent barrier until fairly recently, but that patent's been withdrawn. So I've got a lawyer looking at it, but I'm interested in finding people who would be interested in that kind of a virtual approach to our model railroads. It's a way to, without opening your home to everybody, to let everybody see what you got. Okay, that's my spiel. That's what I'm interested in.
Thanks for coming and sharing that with us. That's pretty ambitious, but who's to say? I mean, what's the software that's out there now? DVOS was doing that a lot.
JMRI.
D was using trains.
Trains?
Yes.
TRAINZ?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with that one?
I played with that briefly. I'm mostly familiar with JMRI, the Java package that allows you to define your layout, control switches and signals, and control the decoder in your locomotive, so forth.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of people use JRMI because you can build your roster and set up an operating scheme, but you can also use JMRI to program your locos. It's quite a robust freeware, I guess it is. Well, good. We're glad to have you join us and hope you continue to come, and we might get you building a layout one of these days too. Anybody else new? I'm old. Anybody? Nobody? Okay. Never mind. Future clinics. June, as I mentioned, to Nick Moff's layout, and in July, here, Nick Moff is going to do a introduction to 3D printing. And this will be a high-level look at it for all of us that are going, well, I see, I know what the number 3 is and the D, but I know Dave over here, he's beyond that because he has a 3D printer and he's like, well, I don't need to do that. But no, seriously, I've looked at Nick's, what do you call it, PowerPoint already, and I think it'll be pretty good. Well, I know it'll be good because Nick did it, but, and then that would be a great one, Bob, if we could get that out on the web too, because, you know, 3D printing is still kind of mystical to a lot of people. We can buy stuff from sites that make 3D printed items, and we can buy or download files if we had our own 3D printer, but it's still, you know, we need to know more about it, I think. So, and the prices are coming down on those printers, and so, you know, it's the future, or a big part of the future.
Al, have you been uploading your monthly programs to the 4D website for YouTube?
Occasionally, not very often. We just last year started recording a few. Steve McCart is our official, was our official, I said was, videographer, and he passed it on to Bob behind you, Bob, anyway. So we're Bob knows, what's his name? Burr Stewart, who I guess kind of manages the YouTube.
Yeah.
And so we have an in to get stuff published as soon as.
That'd be, get a hold of Burr and he can set that up.
Right.
It's already done.
Good deal. Hey, Steve. Hi. Okay, well, gosh, let's move along to tool time. Who brought a tool?
Has problems with small apertures or whatever, and if you want to clean something out, I don't know if you've ever seen these things. They're,
Really tiny.
it's not,
Oh, yeah.
very small. It's like having a little,
For cleaning tips for assembly,
yeah, for
very type like that.
anything nozzles, small nozzles and stuff really. But it works good for a lot of other things. If you drill a hole or something, and you know, for small holes, and you got a burr inside there or something, cleans it up quite easily.
Is there a name for that tool?
Uh,
A hole cleaner?
No, it's actually.
Tip acetylene torch tip cleaner, basically.
Yeah, it's WYPC is the company that makes it. They're just called tip cleaners.
Okay, good. Steve's gonna take a picture, so it'll be captured forever.
If you're familiar with the pressure-sensitive adhesives, this is some pressure-sensitive adhesives that I have. I got from Boeing surplus years ago. And it's been kept in a drawer and kept out of light and stuff. And I've used it lately, and it's still good. And it comes in a small roll, only 180 yards long. And I think I've figured out a way that I can take some of it. So if somebody wants some, I can maybe give you some and you can give it a try. But it's great stuff. Just, you want to put two things together, you just put it on, you know, roll it or something, push it on real tight, pull the brown paper thing off and stick the other side on.
Like double stick tape.
Yeah, it's not like the same thing, but
It's
it doesn't
double-
have the tape, it's just the adhesive.
Yeah, it's not double stick tape, but you're putting down adhesive, and that's what you have. You can buy that, 3M makes it, because I have some.
That's what this is.
Yeah, it is great for roofing, for example.
Mhm.
I've used that a lot. It's pretty slick stuff, really.
But yeah, I paid about $2 for this.
Yeah. It's interesting that Boeing has a whole bunch of pressure-sensitive tape thinking about their airplanes. Never mind. Never mind.
They hold wings on pretty good.
Yeah. David, tell us about your,
Well, Al asked me to bring this in so you can see it again. This is my paint shaker. Just cardboard tube, a radiator hose, and a thin blade. And when I'm doing it, I've got, I usually put my hand over it so that it doesn't come out. You can put Velcro on it to hold it, but it works pretty good. You can go any speed you want for shaking it upside down and turning the bottle around, so.
So you leave the paint in the bottle, you don't just put your hand on it.
Well, oh, there's no paint in here, I'm sorry. So anyway, you can, turn the blade any way you want. Don't get him started.
Guys are ruthless.
quite sure what this was. My wife often comes in and says, oh, here, look what I found for you. And this is a USB port on it. It is a mini, let me get it to go. It's like a mini Dremel. I mean, it's running right now.
Oh, my.
Multi-speed, comes with a couple, an interesting bit that actually has a little disc on the end, and it's got the teeth in between it. Got 2 grinding stones. And, anyway, it's pretty cool.
Would that take that metal off that frame we were looking at?
About 2-3 days it would.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty slick. Do you know where she got that? Amazon or something?
Who knows?
Okay.
I can find out if anybody's going to develop, so I can find where it's at. It's all written in Japanese, so.
I'll put your email in there so people can ask you direct.
Okay.
All right, anybody else with tool time? Nobody else? Well, that's not true. I brought something. You can always count on Al.
Al.
So,
Says brother.
you guys all know I like to weather stuff, and in the back are a couple of Alaska locomotives, Athearn, I guess they are, custom painted, not by me. One of them has been dull coated and the other one is glossy, and you can look at the difference. And so, you know, if you don't want to learn how to weather, like I really like to do if you look at my other stuff, at least get rid of the shine. It speaks of toy trains, and you can so easily dull coat. You don't need an airbrush. You don't need to go buy Chester's $9 little mini can of lacquer dull coat. You can use, I use this stuff, Rust-Oleum frosted glass, and I've also started using this Bear chalk matte clear. In fact, this is what I used on the B unit back there. You can look at them and compare the difference. And that's all it takes to get rid of the brand new off the showroom floor shiny look and make it look like it's, you know, been out the road a little bit anyway. So, easy to do. Yes, sir.
One note on that, and we have the Rust-Oleum dead flat, but really, I mean, it really comes out, you need to be way away from the sprayer. You need to mask your windows on it because it'll make them frosted.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So anything that windows or something like that, you need to mask them off.
Well, dead flat has been a little bit hard to find lately. I'm not sure if they discontinued that or not. So,
I had to look for it a long time before I found the can somewhere.
I mean, and they had this weird trigger thing that almost
Yeah.
I hated that thing. So, I'm not sure if you can get it with the regular spray button nozzle thing.
The only way I've seen it is with that trigger out.
Hi, is this a new picture that I forgot to take? Yeah, thank you. But you're not gonna be in it. I'll do a selfie. Okay. All righty. Okay, moving on to the Modelers Showcase.
So most of you know I'm a long-term O-scale modeler, and primarily O-scale narrow gauge. And I recently had a little bit of surgery done, so I had some time to kill. So I decided to build an N-scale replica of my grandmother's barn. The result is back there, kind of shoved in the corner.
It looks like the barn that they shot John Wilkes Booth in.
It may be. The picture, when I saw my grandmother's barn, I was a sophomore in high school in 1964. And then recently we saw it a couple years ago, and so I decided to take the after picture to model instead of the first one. But I did build a model of my grandmother's farmhouse and the barn.
In N-scale.
In N-scale.
Are you going to switch scales now?
I've been thinking about NN3. I bought a Climax in NN3.
It might have been while you were gone, but Jeff Stips has started to show up to the clinic. Right now he's on his hiatus to California, but he models in NN3. Some of these guys will remember the models he brought in were exquisite, narrow gauge.
Yeah, when in '96, when the NMRA convention was in Long Beach, like it's going to be this year, they came to my layout, and I had a lot of NN3. It was N-scale layout, but I had a lot of NN3 stuff on that.
Cool. All right, Dale, thanks. And again, it's sure good to have you back in the fold.
Yeah, don't, it's not master model railroader quality.
You've been there, done that, now you can relax, the pressure's off, dude. Anybody else, model of the month? Roger.
So speaking of 3D prints, I've got a 3D print of a signal cantilever for the Railroad Club, and when it showed up, it was less than ideal. So I decided to try to make one in brass. It's about 3/4 done
Okay.
right now.
And by the way, thank you for bringing it in progress, because we really would like to see in progress stuff, you know. It's nice to see the finished stuff, but you see what you're doing, your techniques, so.
Yeah, I do have, that's something I brought in like that. I don't know how to show it to people. It's a semaphore, but I've made it so that I'm still just beginning to work on it, and I can light it and everything if depends on what I want to do with it. It's all out of brass.
Is it O scales?
Yeah.
Well, good, we'll look forward to seeing that as you finish it up here. Not next month. We're not doing model of the month and stuff at Nick's house. We're gonna see models of the month over there. Okay, anybody else? Well, I will take the floor then. I brought in the 2 Alaska units that you saw back there that are stock, except one of them is dull coated. They have not entered the weathering shop yet. But rule number 1, if you're going to weather, even slightly, dull coat. You've got to have a dull, flat surface to get whatever medium you choose to use as your weathering agent, or several mediums. It needs a dull, flat dull coat to adhere to. So that being said, next to it is a GP 40, Alaska Railroad GP 40 that I bought. It's a dummy, because I'm a little bit reluctant to take my arsenal of paints and powders and stains and everything to some of my locomotives. I mean, you know, they cost us a few dollars. So I bought this dummy, and you can see what I've done to it, that poor thing. When I bought it, I didn't pay a lot of attention. eBay, bad on my part, and I didn't even notice until this afternoon when I was trying to put it together to bring it down here that apparently they sent me a frame for, maybe it was a GP38 or something. It doesn't quite fit. It was a part in the pictures in eBay. And, you know, well, okay, it's a frame. So Dave here has given me some guidance on how to do some surgery on the frame to make it fit. And milling, I guess, right? Millwork. Oh boy. But anyway, that was what it has been weathered with a variety of powders, Bragdon Enterprises, and Pan Pastels, and Tamiya panel liner, and Vallejo's washes. If you look at it, you won't be. Hopefully, you won't be able to tell the difference. But anyway, because it all blends together, and more work to go, but it's getting there. I rusted it up. Rust is good. I love rust. Rust is good.
And you like dull coat too.
And I like dull coat, yeah. Oh
And
man,
pastels.
it's great stuff.
I think you own stock in the company.
It's also a flat car that I've been working on, and that is a roundhouse, Mathern, I'm not real sure. Again, an eBay purchase, but when I got it, it was boxcar red, the whole thing, including the deck. Well, you know that flat car decks aren't boxcar red. I mean, they're wood. So I brush painted on some Tamiya, what is the color? I don't recall what it is now, a tan color. And then it's been weathered with some of those Vallejo washes and some Pan Pastels. It's in progress, and I just brought the car without the trucks. So, that being said, anybody else have anything for models or showcase? Yes, we'll go with you, Carl.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to report, last month I showed the group that Walther's expandable track, and both sections are now in the layout, worked like a charm. It certainly saved me a lot of time, and so I just wanted to report they work. So,
Okay, good. And Carl hasn't been here in a couple of years, and we're glad to see you back. And Carl is an author, world-renowned. How's that for building out? Carl is one of, he co-authored this book, Building.
I've done a lot of research over about 20 years and have put together a couple of books on the early railroads in Whatcom County. And I do the writing, and then I've got a graphic artist friend who does the layout and the maps and stuff. And the first one, Early Railroads of Whatcom County, starting when it was a territory, Washington Territory. And this one I've been out for a while, and I think a lot of you may have already purchased this one. And then we've got a new book that we just came out with, and this is the Bellingham Bay and British Columbia Railroad and its successors, including the Milwaukee Road. And this goes into a lot more detail about those two railroads. And they're just full of pictures that we've been able to get, and my friend who's a graphic artist, he always wants to go back to the original photograph or slide or negative to get as good a resolution as we can for the pictures. And both books have over 200 references where we've been able to reference where we got the material. So those are available. I haven't mentioned to Al, but he likes surprises. We've got a show on this one, a slideshow and everything on this one that we just came out with. And if they were interested, we could bring that to one of these programs. Anyway, so I have these books. They're available at Village Books in Bellingham, but we can sell them to you guys at, at a special discount, about half price, if you're interested in the book.
Carl, I got one of their first copies of the other book, and you charged me double price because you said it was just hot off the press.
They were.
Yeah, they were.
More expensive than
P.T.
they
Barnum.
are.
Yeah, they're.
P.T. Barnum, P.T. Barnum said.
Thank you, Carl.
Yeah.
Did he sign yours?
Was that first, second, or third?
So guys, if you're interested in one of these books, see Carl, he has some out in the car. I own the, I guess the Bellingham Bay and British Columbia book, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Like history from this area, they're worth spending the money on reading. Anybody else have anything for the good of the order? The baton, is it for the good of the order?
I hope so.
Oh boy.
But you all probably are aware of this. I did not know it till yesterday, and that's American Model Builders is out of business.
Yeah. But they were bought by, and it escapes me, one of the good things about spending time on the Model Railroad Hobbyist Forum is you find out stuff, and they were posting about this very thing. American Model Builders, the laser kit company, structures, closed their doors and said, sorry, we're done. Well, somebody bought them. We found that out, and I can't remember who, but when I figure it out, I'll put it in the newsletter.
I think it was Berkshire Valley Models. Was it Berkshire Valley
It
Models?
might be, yeah.
That's what I think I read.
I think so. Well, I'll double check though. So yeah, it's good, bad news and good news. They make some great kits. They're not all structures either. They make caboose kits and flight car loads and so forth. Anybody else? David?
Callback has been sold too,
Yes, Callenbeck
first of the month.
was sold to Fire Crown Media, and there's
Yeah.
been a huge discussion, 500 and 600 posts now about it. It's going on and on, trashing with Callenbeck, but anyway, we'll see what happens. Monterey Railroad's been around for 90 years, and it may not be around too much longer, or it may. The new owners are being a little tight-lipped about what they're really going to do.
There was an interview this week with the new owners
Yeah,
on
okay.
Ken Patterson's What's
What's
Neat
neat?
this week.
Yeah.
Okay, on his show for this Saturday. He had the new owners, the new owner, and Prop from Model Railroad.
David.
Yeah, David Prop, and they discussed the plans for Model Railroader. and he pointed out some facts about descriptions are going down, and he's gonna pump money into the model railroader and the Trains magazine, and work on making a better product. And he's going to also invest money into the videos and improve quality.
Good. That's
So
good
he
news.
says he's gonna invest money and he's gonna make it better, and he's not just buying it for the short term.
That's good to
So
hear.
Ken Patterson, What's Neat This Week YouTube channel, it's probably about a 25-minute interview,
Yeah.
and it'll answer your questions.
Yeah, you can say what you want about model railroader, but I still subscribe, and I do find something in there every month that's of interest to me. A lot of it's focused, I won't just say on beginners, but it's not at the same level of interest as Railroad Model Craftsman, for example, which is a lot more in-depth articles and Craftsman articles. But, you know, it's all part of our fabric of our culture as model railroaders. How's that sound?
Now-
Okay.
Nowadays, if you can get it on your phone, there'll be thousands of subscriptions. But
Yeah, well,
if
maybe.
you gotta read a magazine,
Well, that's the way the world's going, is e-magazines and
I
stuff.
taught high school and the kids didn't like to read, period. That was back in the 70s. They didn't like to read back then either.
Well, of course not. Stephen?
I don't know if people know or not, but you can get Model Railroader at the library, download it to your tablet or your phone for free. That's what I get every month, Trains magazine as well.
Does it expire, or do you just get to keep it?
Well, you get it for 21 days and then it goes back, but you can, and they have all the, like all the special issue ones, the Rex and 1940s and all those that you can download to your phone and read them, or your tablet. That's what I do every month.
Yeah. Remember our good friend Ted used to do that. He'd get his model railroader off Snow Isle Library. Yeah. Anybody else? Let's take a break. Bob, how long does your program run?
About 30 minutes.
That all? Oh boy, I guess I'll have to learn how to do a soft shoe for you guys or something up here.
And then we
Okay.
have questions and
Take a
answers later.
break.
I've done a lot of research over about 20 years and have put together a couple of books on the early railroads in Whatcom County. And I do the writing, and then I've got a graphic artist friend who does the layout and the maps and stuff. And the first one, Early Railroads of Whatcom County, starting when it was a territory, Washington Territory. And this one I've been out for a while, and I think a lot of you may have already purchased this one. And then we've got a new book that we just came out with, and this is the Bellingham Bay and British Columbia Railroad and its successors, including the Milwaukee Road. And this goes into a lot more detail about those two railroads. And they're just full of pictures that we've been able to get, and my friend who's a graphic artist, he always wants to go back to the original photograph or slide or negative to get as good a resolution as we can for the pictures. And both books have over 200 references where we've been able to reference where we got the material. So those are available. I haven't mentioned to Al, but he likes surprises. We've got a show on this one, a slideshow and everything on this one that we just came out with. And if they were interested, we could bring that to one of these programs. Anyway, so I have these books. They're available at Village Books in Bellingham, but we can sell them to you guys at, at a special discount, about half price, if you're interested in any book.
Carl, I got one of their first copies of the other book, and you charged me double price because you said it was just hot off the press.
They were.
Yeah, they were.
More expensive than
P.T.
they
Barnum.
are.
P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum said.
Thank you, Carl.
Yeah.
Did he sign yours?
Was that first, second, or third?
So guys, if you're interested in one of these books, see Carl, he has some out in the car. I own I guess the Bellingham Bay in British Columbia book, it was really good.
Yeah.
Like history from this area, they're worth spending the money on and reading. Anybody else have anything for the good of the order? The baton, is it for the good of the order?
I hope so.
Oh, boy.
But you all probably are aware of this. I did not know it till yesterday, and that's American Model Builders is out of business.
Yeah. But they were bought by, and it escapes me, one of the good things about spending time on the Model Railroad Hobbyist Forum is you find out stuff. And they were posting about this very thing. American Model Builders, the laser kit company, structures, closed their doors and said, sorry, we're done. Well, somebody bought them. We found that out. And I can't remember who, but when I figure it out, I'll put it in the newsletter.
I think it was Berkshire Valley Models. Was it Berkshire Valley
It
Models?
might be, yeah.
That's what I think I read.
I think so. Well, I'll double check though. So yeah, it's good, bad news and good news. They make some great kits. They're not all structures either. They make caboose kits and flight car loads and so forth. Anybody else? David?
Callback has been sold too,
Yes, Callback
first of the month.
was sold to Fire Crown Media, and
Yeah.
there's been a huge discussion, 500 and 600 posts now about it. It's going on and on, trashing the Callback, but anyway, we'll see what happens. Model Railroader's been around for 90 years, and it may not be around too much longer, or it may. The new owners are being a little tight-lipped about what they're really gonna do.
There was an interview this week with the new owners
Yeah,
on
okay.
Ken Patterson's What's
What's
Neat this week.
Yeah.
Okay, on his show for this Saturday, he had the new owners, the new owner, and Prop from Model Railroader.
David,
Yeah, David Prop, and they discussed the plans for Model Railroader, and he pointed out some facts about descriptions are going down, and he's gonna pump money into the Model Railroader and the Trains magazine, and work on making a better product. And he's going to also invest money into the videos and improve quality.
Good. That's
So
good
he
news.
says he's gonna invest money and he's gonna make it better, and he's not just buying it for the short term.
That's good to
So
hear.
Ken Patterson, What's Neat This Week YouTube channel. It's probably about a 25-minute interview,
Yeah.
and it'll answer your questions.
Yeah, you can say what you want about Model Railroader, but I still subscribe, and I do find something in there every month that's of interest to me. A lot of it's focused, I won't just say on beginners, but it's not at the same level of interest as Railroad Model Craftsman, for example, which is a lot more in-depth articles and Craftsman articles. But, it's all part of our fabric of our culture as Model Railroader. How's that sound?
Now-
Okay.
Nowadays, if you can get it on your phone, there'll be thousands of subscriptions. But
Yeah, well,
if
maybe.
you gotta read a magazine,
Well, that's the way the world's going, is e-magazines and
I
stuff.
taught high school and the kids didn't like to read, period. That was back in the 70s. They didn't like to read back then either.
Well, of course not. Stephen?
I don't know if people know or not, but you can get Model Railroader at the library, download it to your tablet or your phone for free. That's what I get every month, Trains magazine as well.
Does it expire, or you just get to keep it?
Well, you get it for 21 days and then it goes back, but you can, and they have all the special issue ones, the Rex and 1940s and all those that you can download to your phone and read them, or your tablet. That's what I do every month.
Yeah. Remember our good friend Ted used to do that. He'd get his Model Railroader off Snow Isle Library. Yeah. Anybody else? Let's take a break. Bob, how long does your program run?
About 30 minutes.
That all? Oh boy, I guess I'll have to learn how to do a soft shoe for you guys or something up here.
And then we
Okay.
have questions and answers
Take a
later.
break. Okay, everybody, tonight's program is Bob Stafford teaching us about BNSF unit. Did we get this right so far?
It's Burlington Northern, not BNS.
Oh, geez, I blew it already.
Burlington. I'm a Burlington guy, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, this is based on when I've worked on the Alliance Division and when I worked down on the Colorado and Southern, and what we did with the unit coal trains and how we can tie them into model railroad operations. I originally gave this clinic for the NMRA National in 2021. So this is, I'll just play the clinic for you. Many modelers have unit coal trains operating on their layouts. In most cases, these trains just operate across the model railroad from staging to staging, for example, and doing no online work. A unit coal train operates from a single consignor or coal mine, in our case, to a single consignee such as a power plant. In this clinic, we will discuss Burlington Northern coal train operations when I worked on the coal route to Texas. Empty coal trains, such as this empty topping the hill at Angora, Nebraska, 22 miles out of Alliance, came directly into the south yard at Alliance, Nebraska. Trains arriving from the east came around the Y or used a back connecting track behind a mechanical facility and ran into the south yard. They pulled into a yard track. The power was cut off by the inbound crew and taken to the diesel service facility. This is an aerial view of the south yard. The carman next blue flagged the track and inspected the inbound train for defects. This normally took about 1 hour. When the carman finished inspecting the train, they dropped their blue flags, advised the yard master that the flags were down, and gave him a list of bad ordered cars in the train. The caboose was set over to the caboose track for the carman to service. The caboose was clean. The fuel oil tank for the stove filled, paper towels, cups, fuses, torpedoes, and other supplies were replenished. Next, the bad order cars were switched out of the train. All bad order cars were kicked into one of the shorter yard tracks. There were set times during the day when the rip track would be switched. This was normally during shift change at the rip track. The bad order cars would be taken to the rip track for repair. There was a group of several smaller, shorter tracks known as a spare yard. Extra empty coal cars was kept in this yard. Each train symbol had a minimum tender and a maximum tender. This was a form showing the minimum number of coal cars for spotting at the mine for loading. This was determined by the coal tariff. As to the minimum tender of cars that the railroad required for the unit train rate. The maximum tender was a maximum number of cars that would fit on the balloon track at the power plant. Most unit coal trains operated with cars leased by the power plant. Empty coal cars leased by the power plant would be switched out of the spare yard into the train. For example, Houston Power and Light trains used UFIX coal cars. When adding empty coal cars to train in the south yard, the cars would have to be cut in the proper stripe order. All rotary dump cars have a contrasting color painted on the rotary coupler end of the car. This is referred to as a stripe. All trains are lined up beginning with a colored stripe on the rotary end of the cars facing towards the locomotive. Near the middle of the train, a double rotary car is placed. This has a rotary couplers on both ends of the car. Beyond the double rotary, the stripes are lined facing towards the caboose. This is a photo of a double rotary car. It has stripes on both ends, and the car is coupled to it. The stripes are facing away from the double rotary car. The coal test at the Network Operations Center in Fort Worth, Texas, kept track of the movement of the unit coal train sets. When an empty coal train set returned to Alliance for the 35th time, the coal test notified the terminal train master, who then arranged with the south yard master to turn the entire inbound train on the Y, for which which was located at the west end of the North Yard in Alliance. The Y can be seen in this photo. And I've also marked out the location of the bypass track that the empty coal trains used to get into the South Yard. When an empty train had to be wide, the train was not blue flagged by the carman on arrival. A switch engine would pull the empty train out of the South Yard, turned on the Y, and then return the train back to the South Yard. It was then blue flagged and worked by the carman. On the road incidents. In the days before DP power was placed at the rear end of the train, the drawbar stress of a loaded gold train going up the steep grade was very intense. Any knuckle or drawbar with a defect within the first 30 cars of the train would fail. Most knuckle and drawbar failures happen within the first 10 cars in the train. On the Twin Mountain subdivision, former Colorado Southern Division, at milepost 261, the grade increased for a short distance to 1.8%. And this location was known as Drawbar Alley. The right-of-way was littered with knuckles and drawbars at this location. About once a year, the little giant high rail crane would be sent out with electromagnet to pick up scrap and load it into the Lake Adola car. When the train broke in two, the headman walked back first to see if it was a knuckle or a drawbar. If it was a drawbar that pulled out of the rear end of the car, the head end went to the next spur track and the car was set out with the headman riding the car. If it was a drawbar that pulled out of the wrong end of the car, it would need to be chained up to the head end of the train and taken to the next spur track where it could be set out. The chain or drawbar strap and any tools needed were taken off the engine and put beside it. The rear of the train was pulled up to the chain or drawbar strap and tools. They were put on the rear of the car. Then the brakeman took it back to the rear of the train. He chained up the car and would ride it on a brake wheel end to the set out track, just in case the chain broke if the car had no air in it. Otherwise, it would roll downhill and crash into the train unless handbrakes were set. If he was able to couple the air between the two cars after they were chained together, then he would ride the car not on the rear end. And if the train got a knuckle, the headman would close the angle cock, walk back to the engine, get a knuckle off the engine, drop it in the tools needed on the ground beside the engine, have the engineer pull the head end forward until the rear car was at where he had dropped a knuckle. The knuckle and tools would be put on the head end of the car, and then the head end would shove back to where the brake was. If it was a knuckle, it was replaced and the train was put back together. Now came the hard part, restarting the train on a grade without getting another knuckle or drawbar. The railroad was normally tied up for at least 2 hours or more by a coal train breaking in two, providing they didn't have trouble restarting the train. When the car department road truck repaired the car, it would be picked up in a freight train and moved to a central location where the repaired coal cars were put back into the unit coal trains. One of these locations was Amarillo, Texas. At Eastern Street, there was a couple of tracks that held a coal train and a couple of short spur tracks. Loaded and empty coal trains received their 1,000-mile inspections here. The inbound coal train was blue flagged and worked by the carman. Any bad order cars were set out on one of the spur tracks. In another spur track, repaired loaded coal cars were kept. Bad order cars were replaced with repair coal loads and proper stripe orientation. Now, how can we do these things on our model railroad? Well, the first thing we have to look at in review for a model railroad operation, if you're running a unit coal train with a caboose or DP power, is that the train has a double rotary car in concept with stripes lined away from it towards the engine and the caboose or DP power. If you're modeling a yard on your layout that represents a division crew change point, designated as a 500-mile inspection point prior to 1982, or a 1,000-mile inspection point 1982 and beyond. When a train arrives at your yard, put it into a siding for the carman to work. This takes about 1 hour. After 1 hour on your fast clock, the blue flags are dropped. Devise a method to locate bad order cars in the train, such as dice, situation cars, computer random generator program, whatever works best for you. Have the yard crew use the road power to set out the bad order cars and put replacement, repaired loads that have been switched off the wreck track into the train in proper stripe order. Set out cars will then be set to the rip track the next time that it is switched by one of your yard engines. Unit coal trains set out bad order cars with a mechanical defect in a spur track on your model railroad. The next operation session, you put out a work order to your local freight crew to pick up the car and return it to the yard. If you model a division point where unit coal train inspection is being done, the car can be added to the train here. If you are modeling a small support yard, the coal load would be added to the next freight train going in the proper direction, picking up cars from your yard. Another spin on this idea would be between operating sessions to stage a loaded unit coal car train on a spur track for your local to pick up and handle it accordingly. Another scenario would be a freight train comes out of the staging yard with a loaded coal train car in the set out block for your yard that performs the FRA inspection on your unit coal trains. Cars switched out with other repair coal loads and added to the next unit coal train that is inspected. These are a few ideas that you can use to add additional operation to your model railroad. I would like to thank George Workma, Carl Rethwish, Brian Ambrose, and Greg Wyrick for permission to use their photos. I hope I have given you some new ideas to incorporate into your model railroad for additional operating opportunities. So, any questions about coal trains?
No, but I've got the cars breaking apart downtown on Island.
Oh,
So I'm glad to hear that happens, you know.
okay.
Yeah.
You saw the drawbar laying
Yeah.
on the track. Now picture you're back there all by yourself and you're trying to roll that over the rail.
Oh my God.
Okay? I've done it. Okay?
Well, I was with a group of model railroaders up on Crawford Hill several decades ago, and we heard from the radios that the uphill train that we were expecting pulled a drawbar someplace. And pretty soon, within about a half an hour, we saw the front half of the train going uphill, and the back car was chained.
Yep.
So, and they spotted it someplace and backed down the hill to pick up the rest of the
Yeah.
train.
Belmont, up on top of the hill, there was a spur track up there that bad orders went into.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just, it was after they daylighted, or not daylighted, they went around the tunnel up there, and so we still saw the old tunnel. That was the only tunnel in Nebraska, was in Crawford Hill.
I actually worked the operator's job at Crawford.
Did you?
Oh, yeah, I was catching off the extra board. Yeah, fixing up the helpers. Yes, Crawford.
A friend of mine and I were watching a big long coal train going up Soldier Summit. And we were watching and, not thinking much about it. All of a sudden, it was like an explosion when that thing let loose, when it broke the coupler. I was amazed.
It is, actually, it's metal fatigue, it is an explosion. That's a good way to sum it up. Steve, you was part of something.
So I kind of missed, I didn't understand the stripe facing and the double, I didn't understand what that was about. Why was that?
Okay, when you get to the rotary dumper, okay, the car is flipped over and then it comes back, okay? Flip over, come back. So against the locomotive, there has to be a rotary coupler. The rotary coupler rotates, okay? That's why it's a rotary coupler. And then the coupler at the other end of the car does not rotate, it's a standard coupler. So you have to have all your rotating couplers aligned in the same direction as the locomotive. Then if you have a caboose or DP power on the rear, you have to have rotary couplers going against that in order to be dumped. So the double rotary will be someplace in the train, changing the direction of the stripes, as we call them. So you have stripes facing towards the power, a double rotary, and stripes facing to the rear end of the train.
Does the double rotary have two rotary
Yes, it
couplers
has two
on it?
rotary couplers, the rotary coupler in each end. And it also has two stripes painted on it. If you pay attention, one of the things I like doing, and I get on a road crossing, a game I play is to find a double rotary in a train when it goes by.
That's what I'm gonna do now, because I see the coal trains going through, but never thought anything of
Yeah,
that
it can be
stuff.
anywhere in the train. But summer of 1981, I was a verifier at the Y in Alliance, Nebraska. Okay, and that was in the days before the chips on the side of the car, and we did everything by hand and eye. So my job was to, every train that went departing Alliance Yard, going north towards Edgemont, South Dakota, on towards Gillette and the coal field, was write down every car number in the direction of the stripe, identify the double rotary and the number of it, and then the car number, every car in the train back to the caboose.
You have to do that at less than 10 miles an hour so you can keep up?
Well, I'm supposed to.
I have trouble just counting the cars.
Yeah. Yeah. So lots of times you get the last 3 digits towards the rear because they would start speeding up. Okay, yeah. So today it's all done with the microchips on the side of the car. And those chips have the direction of the stripe embedded into that information.
That's cool.
And it goes to a reader.
So where is the stripe on the car, or two stripes? I mean, if I'm looking at this train going by, where am I looking? Bottom, top? I mean,
The end panel. The end panel.
of the car.
the end, not the side.
No, the end, the very end of the car will be a contrasting color than the rest of the car.
Think all the ribs on the car side. On the get to the end rib, it's different color.
Okay, and so if it's a double stripe, it's both ends?
Both ends have a stripe,
Okay.
contrasting color.
Well, now I know what I'm gonna do with the crossing next time. What if it's a tank train car then? No, never mind, don't.
We don't flip tank cars over there.
They got different rules for tank cars.
So,
When I was train master up in Canada at Roberts Bank, the operator there one day tried to dump an engine. He flipped the engine over.
Whoa.
Yeah, he started one car, yeah, he was one car too soon, okay? And then it would not come back.
What, they have to get a crane in to pull it out or something?
Yeah. The dumper was out of service for about 2 days. Well, they dealt with getting this engine upright again. Yeah, I don't think he ever did that again. I don't know if anybody's doing
He
it.
probably works someplace else.
Right.
Yeah,
So do they dump the cars like separately, like they take them off the train and dump them and then get the next one
no, they're
in?
all coupled together, that's why I have the rotary couplers. Okay, when the train gets to the power plant, where the rotary is, there is two big arms that come out. And those arms come between the coal car, and then pull the coal car and the entire train forward and position it on the dumper. And then those arms clear, the car is dumped, flip back, the arms go back to the next loaded car and pull the whole train forward.
So what keeps the car from tipping over? They have arms on the top too?
Yeah, okay, when they flip it over on the top of the rotary, there is two, what do we call it? Two pieces that come down like this and clamp on top of the car. If you look at unit coal trains, you'll often see on the side of the cars where there's a shiny area right on the very top. That's where that clamp comes down on top of the car.
Amazing.
I got to watch them dump them at Sutherland several years ago. We got a group went into the actual dump facility and watched them dump them. It's dirty in there and dusty. You almost can't see what they're doing. It's interesting.
Another thing that's done out here in the P&W, when I first started on the BN back in '79, when the coal train went by, it was just black dust all over the place. And the power companies were estimated that by the time the trains arrived to Houston, Texas, Houston Power and Light claimed they were losing 2% of the load to be blown off in the trip from Gillette, Wyoming to Houston, Texas. So then they started spraying the top of the cars. We tried several different things over the years until they finally found a vegetable-based spray that sprayed on the top of the cars. And then this spray then holds the coal down from blowing out of the cars. So now out here in Pasco, because of all the concerns that a lump of coal might fall in the Columbia River, okay? There's been a respray facility built on one of the tracks here in Pasco. So the unit coal trains pass through the sprayer, the top of the coal cars all get sprayed now before they can continue on to Roberts Bank. Keeps the state of Washington Ecology Department happy.
Does anybody else have anything for Bob? Wow, I sure learned a lot about those darn trains that I get stuck watching at the crossings. That's pretty cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything? It's only 8:35.
It's a long drive to Bellingham.
It is. Not for me, though. It's 15 minutes and
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you much. We will, I'd like some help putting away the chairs, the tables.
It has all, it's just everything.
Take the
right
free
in
magazines, please, otherwise I gotta cart them to the dumpster. Take your name tags off and leave them on the back table.
So I leave all the time, had one of my former